Hey, welcome to this video on individual savings account, also known as ISAs here in the UK. Now, ISAs are quite confusing sometimes, and I've been trying to get my head around it and I've learned a bit about ISAs. So I thought I would make this quick video to share what I've learned. And in this video, we're going to cover what ISAs mean, the kinds of ISAs there are, and what are the contribution rules, and much more. So stay till the end and let's get into it. So, like the name says, an individual savings account can be held by an individual. So, if you have various family members, they can all have their own individual savings account, and this account cannot be joined by other family members. So, it can't be a joint account, if you will. Now, why would you want to open an individual savings account? This ISA is really good if you're planning to invest in stocks, or if you want to save money for your first home purchase, or if you want to lend money to businesses. For these, ISAs are a really good place to start, and we're going to look at exactly why. So, before we do that, it's really important to understand the rules behind how ISAs work so we don't breach the rules of HMRC. So, in simple terms, we can invest up to £20,000 per tax year into an individual savings account and pay zero tax on the capital returns or investment returns that we get from saving into an individual savings account. And to clarify, per year is actually per tax year, which runs from 6th of April to 5th of April the following year. So if we were to invest £20,000 in 2020, then that would be from 6th of April 2020 to 5th of April 2021. Now, one other thing to consider here is we cannot go back in time and use that 20,000 allowance that the government gives us. So we have to keep that in mind that we start investing into this account, and that's when the £20,000 allowance starts for us. And another way to look at it is if we start investing as much or as little as we can into these ISA accounts over time, because of compounding effect, we let's say 10 years down the line, we will have a big pot of money because we've started investing into these accounts, and we're not paying any tax, and we keep returns, and it keeps compounding. Now, there are mainly four different types of ISA accounts, and we are going to look at the benefits and the disadvantages of each. And towards the end, we're also going to look at an overview of the contribution rules that we have to follow in mind. So, the first ISA account is a cash ISA, and it is very similar to any individual account that we can have at any bank. Now, the main benefit of this is the ease of accessibility of the cash, but there are also a few disadvantages of cash ISA where the interest rates are really low. So there is no real way to counter the inflation rate. So in the UK, the inflation rate might be 1 or 2%, and there's no real way to counter it because the interest rates on these cash ISA accounts are really low. The next type of ISA is stocks and shares ISA, and unlike cash ISA, the money is not sitting in a bank account, but it is actually invested into the stock market for us. Now, there are various services that we can enroll ourselves into to leverage stocks and shares ISA. Services like Plum, Wealthify, Nutmeg, Moneybox, and there are many more that we can use who will invest the money for us into the stock market, and we get to keep all the returns. And I'm not affiliated to any of these services that I just mentioned, but these are some of the common ones. The other benefit of the stocks and shares ISA, apart from keeping all the returns, is actually the compounding effect that we can benefit from as well. So we invest something into the ISA account, and then let's say we get a return of 10 or 7 to 10%, and we get to keep all that return and also invest that going into the future, which kind of has this snowball effect. So one of the disadvantages of stocks and shares ISA is actually the stock market volatility. So some days you can have a big return, and some days you can have a big loss. So this can have a huge impact psychologically on anyone. And a way to counter this psychological effect is to actually think of investing into the stock market using this ISA for a long term. So imagine 5 or 10 years where the day-to-day volatility of stock market doesn't really affect you because you know you're in this for the long term. So the next type of ISA is a lifetime ISA, also known as LISA. And one of the criteria here is you have to be between 18 to 39 to open a LISA account. And also you can only pay a maximum of £4,000 per year as of 2021 into a LISA account. So let's look at some of the benefits of a LISA account compared to the other types of account that we've seen so far. So LISA is actually really beneficial if you're a first-time home buyer, and you can use a LISA account to help you to save up for a deposit, and also you can get some help from the government because you're a first-time buyer. So an example would be you save up to £4,000 per year into a LISA account, and you get up to 25% bonus from the government if you're a first-time home buyer. So LISA account can also help people who want to save up for their retirement. So you can still pay in up to £4,000 per year and also get up to £1,000 or 25% bonus from the government if you use up the entire £4,000 allowance. But there are some restrictions and disadvantages though. You cannot keep paying into a LISA account after the age of 50, but you can still keep the account open and collect the returns from the investments. And if you're using a LISA account for retirement, then you cannot access the money until the age of 60. So you have to compare the LISA account to a regular pension scheme, where in a pension scheme would allow you to take the money out at the age of 55. There are circumstances where we can take the money out of a LISA account before the age of 60 or before buying your first home. And if we do that, in that case, we have to pay back the government the 25% bonus that we get. Or alternatively, if you're terminally ill and if you have less than 12 months to live, then you can still access the LISA account and keep the 25% bonus that you get from the government. So the last type of ISA account is Innovative Finance ISA, and this is an account for peer-to-peer lending. So if you want to lend money to a business, you can use this account. So this is very similar to a bond, and here you're actually borrowing to a company for a known return. But keep in mind that this is still very risky because that company might go bust. So those were the 4 types of ISAs that we have. Now let's look at some contribution rules that applies to an ISA. So the first rule is you cannot contribute to more than one ISA provider in a year, but you can still use different providers or have different accounts with different providers over multiple years. So for example, in 2015 you could have an account with Wealthify, and 2016 you could have an account with Plum, and so on. But in one single year, you cannot have an account with 2 different providers. And also you cannot simply just close an account with a provider and then start a new account with another provider. But you can always request a transfer with an existing provider and then let them know that you would like a transfer to a different service provider, and depending on their rules, they should be more than happy to oblige with your request. So there we have it. We saw all the different types of ISAs and also the contribution rules, and hopefully I've given you enough information to give you an understanding of what ISAs are and how you can utilize them in your own personal financial investment portfolio going forward. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe and leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next video.